Welcome back to Lucid Alchemy. I'm Angel Miller, author of The Three Stages of Initiatic Spirituality and Path of the Warrior Mystic. And I'm speaking with Lua Valentia, the founder of Specula and an author of books on chaos magic. And we're going to be discussing love magic.
Hello, hello. Let's start with a controversy. Do you think love magic equals kidnapping someone? Do you think it's unethical?
Well, I think it depends on what you're doing, and me personally, I'm always in favor of working on yourself. And if you're doing magic, quote unquote, to transform yourself in some way over probably usually a long period, and making improvements to yourself that will attract the right people to you, then no, I don't think that's unethical. But I think if you're trying to lead someone away from where they want to be and trying to kind of manipulate them, then yeah, I think that's not a good thing.
Today we're going to teach all the ways, and I'm not going to tell you what to do with your life. It's up to you what path you want to follow. But especially when we think about Brazilian magic, in Brazil, love is like war. The one with the highest sensuality, the one with the most powerful spell wins. So it is very common in Brazil for girls to request their pombagiras for love, especially because pombagiras are entities that are very sensual and they work directly with love spells. And sometimes, let's say you have two people competing over someone, the strongest spell is gonna win. Or we have an expression for this in Brazil, the strongest tea. Because in Brazil, usually they give their target a potion, a love potion called tea. But this is also an euphemism and its expression for intimacy, which in English also became an expression for the Gen Z community. Nowadays, tea equals intimacy, but in the sense of how the tea is prepared as a love spell. And I'd like to start with love potions today. And nowadays, I've noticed there are some love elixirs available to the public. And usually these potions have things like horny goat weed. This weed helps with physical performance. This weed is aphrodisiac. So you would like to start with the chemistry of the body, right? Preparing the body for the encounter. So anything that could be aphrodisiac would be the perfect choice. So a potion with maca root also helps with the libido, with the male endurance. Damiana is another traditional aphrodisiac and also helps you to feel closed with that person. And another aphrodisiacs, even coffee can be depending on how it is prepared. So in Brazil and Latin America in general, what women do is they get their underwear and they prepare the coffee with their underwear, and it is said to attract the male attention and their target. Now, advanced magic would be to use one's blood. But then again, I'm not saying for you to do this or not to do it. I'm just sharing the knowledge. So you must understand that blood is considered a very powerful link. You are sharing your DNA, so you're linking yourself to that person. And there are different types of and uses, but in this case, even Crowley referred to the feminine blood as the red honey or the red gold. So in binding a spell, sometimes what women do is they put few drops of their own blood again into tea or coffee, and they offer to the male. And of course, The most advanced portion of this would be when you have a priestess and a priest, and they're both offering a fluid, and from that fluid they extract the potion. It is the ultimate potion, and it can be used in any kind of spells, and especially if you want to create, let's say, a servant or an astral child. But this, of course, I'm talking about advanced magic. If you're a beginner, I would stay with getting to know your herbs first, your aphrodisiac first, and preparing the body for this encounter. And if you do get a love easier, just give to the person. And of course, prior to the encounter, let's say you have a date or something, ask them if they have any types of allergies. And the best case scenario, if we're talking about ethics, is to ask them if they actually want the potion. You said something about tendering to yourself, tendering to your own garden. So could you please explain a little bit more? What would that mean, especially for a male nowadays?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think general self-improvement is the way to go if you want to attract a higher quality of person or more people to you, not just sexually, of course, but I think there's a something to be considered, and that is, women have sometimes said to me that, well, men just want respect from their girlfriend or whatever, or respect from a woman. And that's obviously true, right? No one wants to be disrespected or not respected, obviously. But I think what's missing from this claim is that men want to be respected by women they respect. And so let's just say, okay, there's a guy, he does a love spell on a woman. It's a let's say two things are likely to happen. Like one, she just falls in love with him, and then she finds out that he's actually a bit of a loser, and she can't quite figure out why she fell in love with him in the first place. They split up, whatever. Obviously, that's not a good scenario. Or, okay, he does the love spell. She falls in love with him, even though he's kind of a loser or he's not what she would want. She wants a wealthy, strong guy who's articulate and funny. He's none of those things. But he did the love spell, and she continues to just be completely in love with him. Every stupid thing he does, she thinks is great. That guy is going to get super frustrated and bored with that woman because ultimately, men, there may be exceptions, but let's just say m what men don't really want is a woman to respect them when they're doing things that are not actually respectful or worthy of respect. They want to be respected for something that is worthy of respect. So, even if it's just that maybe the bar is low, maybe it's just that they're funny, but the woman respects him for being funny. Or maybe, he's working 120 hours a week, so she respects him for that. But, so this respect that binds two people together, especially male-female relationships, is a funny thing. The guy wants respect, but he wants to respect the woman who's respecting him. And if she's just constantly in love with him, hypnotized by some spell, then he's just gonna get bored with that and frustrated with it. So I think yes, you have to work on yourself and attract people through what you do and how you've improved yourself and who you are. And then the attraction is almost just a side effect in a way that if you are putting yourself out into the world, if you are working, hard and smart and you're embodying the best that you can be at that moment and still pushing to be even better in whatever area it is, then that's attractive. Years ago, this is many, many years ago, I said, I was talking to a female friend of mine, and I said, people are more attractive when they're engaged in something, that they're sort of lost in doing something, right? So, an athlete is more attractive when he or she is in the act of, performing in the sport. Or, you get up on stage and give a talk, and in the moment where you're sort of possessed by the speaking is when the audience is most gripped by you. So when we lose ourselves in something, that's when we're at our most attractive, paradoxically. And my friend said, "Oh, that's really true that when she saw the guy that she married, he was a bartender and he was, throwing, doing the sort of, throwing the cocktail mixers up in the air and was completely lost in this act of just making cocktails. And she was just drawn to that. And he hadn't even spoken to her at that point. So, yeah, so, even, in the moment of doing the thing, whatever the thing is, your one is more attractive, but also just pushing to be better in various ways is also going to make you more attractive and will attract better people to you.
Absolutely. So you're saying a lot of good points here. First, men enjoy the hunting. They're hunters. So if they feel that a woman is doing too much, their spiritual self-defense start to become more alert. And that's why I tell my girls that they should do a spell and then forget about it and not lust over the results, because I see too many girls doing too much. So we have, for instance, honey jars, which is you get an empty virgin jar and you put some ingredients, usually sugar, honey, some herbs, and you can put the photo of the person, a link of that person, their name, birth or date, and then with a pink candle dedicated to a love entity. So it could be a Pombagira, it could be Aphrodite, it could be love, the servant for love. You seal this honey jar and then you put it away. Sometimes some people can bury it, some people can just put it underneath their bed, depending on the other types of spells you want to do. But the point is, they do the honey jar and then they keep lusting after them and thinking about them constantly invading their space, even energetically, and they can feel that. And sometimes it is a turn off for men or for avoidant people. We talked about this before, but it's very important to understand the profile of your target. It is perfectly fine to do a spell work, but then you have to let it go and not obsess too much, because otherwise these can be seen and felt as some sort of an attack. And again, if we're talking about a male as a target or a avoidant as a target that prefers to hunt than to be hunted, they're not gonna appreciate this level of pursuing, even if it's in what we call the 5D. It would be the same as constantly messaging them, constantly knocking at their door, constantly trying to call their attention. Some people, they just need some time to breathe. So it is really good to leave it time so the spell can work.
Yeah. So, well, in regard to the hunt, yeah, obviously, like dating, trying to get someone attracted to you, not the anticipation, the not really knowing, the fantasy and the imagination all makes that exciting, right? But I really do think it's also about this sort of level of respect that why does a guy who doesn't really like himself, he goes out, he meets a woman, they go home together, and he's not interested in her the next day and just does that over and over again. But then he meets a woman who says, "No, I'm not interested in you. Maybe if you shaped up." And when she starts putting not roadblocks, but putting, saying, "Well, okay, you've got some potential, but if you shape up here and here and here, yeah, maybe you'll be in with a shot." Why is that the woman that he falls in love with? And it is because, if well, whether you respect yourself or not as a man, but let's just stick with one that doesn't really respect himself that much. When the woman gives herself to him easily, he thinks, well, she can't. I'm not really worthy of respect. She's respecting me straight away. She went home with me. She's obviously a bit stupid. I just tricked her, essentially. So, I'm not going to stay with this woman who's so easily tricked. She's going to be off with someone else next week. Look how easily she fell for me. I don't even like myself. So then the woman who says, like, no, but okay, there are some good things about you. Shape up here, here, and here, and maybe. And that's a woman he can respect, right? She doesn't see through him. Oh, she sees through him. She sees that he's got some good things, but also like she's not just gonna go home with him like an idiot. So then he's gonna pursue her because he wants to be respected by someone he respects. I think that's also a lot of it. But yeah, constantly doing too much and being too available is not a good thing. And to flip it around, when men are always available to women, I don't think women find that attractive either. It's not that you should, be pretending when the other person says, "Hey, what about Tuesday night?" and you pretend that you've got something going on to seem like you have more going on than you really do. But you should be active enough in your life that you're not available 7 nights a week, or because what is that? Or 7 days a week and 7 nights a week? That just signals that you have really nothing outside of the relationship, and you're just going to be a drain on that person.
That's true. It is important to keep yourself busy and putting yourself first, I believe. If everybody had their goals and didn't stop their goals just to cater to another person, they would become immediately more attractive because you understand that your energy is expensive, and to people to stay around you, they must respect your goals and respect what you want in life. Now, if you drop everything you have going on to cater to another person, especially if that person has bottomless emotional needs, that for sure is not attractive at all, regardless of the gender, I believe. But there are some things that can definitely enhance one's level of attractivity. One of those things is pheromones. And another thing that can help as well, aside from that, is perfume. Nowadays, there are certain perfumes that are dedicated to deities. So you can dedicate your favorite perfume if you want, or to buy from a witch. There are certain witches who are perfumists, so they dedicate their path to learn more about smells, odors, and everything in between. So I really love one of the witches dedicated to Lilith, and their perfume slash potion that you can add to any sort of date night or encounter, or just to enhance your level of attractiveness. So I'll link in the descriptions just in case you are curious about this type of perfume. Let's go back to the basics. It doesn't matter if you have everything going on in your life, but you're not smelling good, you're not presentable, especially the intimate health and hygiene. I know people think that, Brazilians are a little bit excessive when it comes to that because we wax our entire body and shower twice or 3 times. But I'm going to defend my culture, and I believe that the world would be a better place if everyone would at least shower once a day, because here in Australia it's very hard, especially during the winter. The smells are terrible. So it doesn't matter if you are a beautiful person and then you try to kiss someone, I don't know, and their their breath is not as good. So another tip I would give is nowadays they have tons of breath enhancers one can have, even those who are not wet, they're like candy, so this can help as well. And my dentist told me that I brush my teeth too much because in Brazilian culture you're supposed to do it every time you eat. So I'm trying to follow more of the Aussie culture, but I will stay by my culture. Some wits they say, oh, you should be all natural and you shouldn't wash your intimate part or you shouldn't do that in Mother Nature. I'm sorry about this, but I do believe that you should have a very intimate, great hygiene and routine so you smell good. And I rather smell like a strawberry than smell like something else. So I know nowadays if you say something like that is also controversial because allegedly you're supposed to be natural, but there is nothing around me that is natural right now. I have electricity on, I have internet on, I have Wi-Fi on. So why should I be all natural? No, I prefer to smell good and feel good. And talking about that, if you do want to smell like a rose, which is the highest degree in terms of vibration, you can drink a little bit of rose water every day or add rose water to your potion. So yes, you can drink the potion yourself to perhaps improve your libido or improve your self-love. And this will make you smell better, smell like a rose. And also you can add rose water to your shampoo. You can choose shampoos with rose base and creams as well. And it's a great tip to choose one scent, and every product that you put on yourself is that one scent because it's going to enhance yourself. And another great tip as well is to charge all your products with intention and dedicate your products to a goddess or an archetype you want to work with, because then you're gonna enhance the ingredients and you're gonna add a spiritual layer to something that is already a physical layer, let's say. I talked a lot about grooming. What tips would you give men for grooming?
I don't really have any tips except wash.
Hi,
That's it.
man, you're so simple.
Yeah.
I have to spend a whole day just to take care of my body weekly.
Yeah. My only grooming tips are wash and clean your teeth. That's it. So it's not much help.
Angel, do you think a woman doing this whole Brazilian ritual, does it make a difference or is it indifferent?
Yeah, it definitely does. Obviously, yeah. So, yeah, I mean, should a woman be au naturel or make an effort? Well, I mean, even guys have to make some effort, wash, clean our teeth, etc. Try and look presentable for sure. Trying to look our best. Obviously, it's a little maybe more involved for women for whatever reason. So in the modern West, there is sometimes this idea that well, it shouldn't matter what you look like, and only arrogant people would wear perfume and dress nicely and work out and keep in shape. And why should any of this matter? Shouldn't I just be loved for who I am? And maybe on the surface that sounds kind of correct. You meet someone, why shouldn't you just love them for who you are? Well, first of all, of course, the people who say this still want the most attractive looking partner that they can get. And it's just a way of signaling, look how morally superior I am, and therefore I should have the better looking person. So it's also a kind of trick or a kind of, a trick to make them more attractive. Look how much more moral I am than anyone else. But when you think about a relationship, okay, let's say there are two people in a relationship. One of them, after 10 years, is working out, is making an effort, wearing cologne or perfume, looking good, trying to improve their mind as well, hopefully, but doing all of these things, trying to improve themselves. And the other person says, well, you should just love me for who I am. And, I'm not going to work out. I haven't worked out in years. I'm not going to, wear any decent clothing. I'm not going to look nice. I'm just going to slop around, and you have to love me for who I am. Who is the more arrogant of the two? Obviously, it's the one who doesn't put any effort in. But in the West, we kind of think that that person is actually kind of humble, but that's not the case at all. Why are we doing this, particularly in a relationship? It's for the other person, right? And that is, I think, you mentioned love spells and we talked about seduction, but people think that when they are in a relationship, they can just stop doing all of that. And that's just somehow it's like that's the lead up, that's the sort of runway that the airplane takes off from. And then once it's in the air, who cares anymore? But, seduction and impressing the other person should also be part of the long-term relationship. I mean, why would you want to be with someone that you can't be bothered to try and impress or can't be bothered to make an effort for?
On the contrary, right? When you actually want to be your best, when you are in a relationship, it's because you understand that that person has options. You understand you should uh, uh, be right by that person, be your best, and this synergy becomes some sort of flame, and you both want to be your best. This is when you see that that couple has lots of potential because they still care, they still, it's a form of saying to the other person, listen, I value you because I want to be the best by your side. I want to increase your value. I want to be perceived as someone that cares. I care about you. Whereas
Yeah.
some people, they, as you said, you see they growing older, but in a way not caring as much,
Yeah,
just
that's right.
saying, oh, I already got the ring, I already got whatever, now I can relax. No, now is that
Mhm.
you should work harder and harder
Yeah, that's
to
right.
be the best by that person.
Yeah, right, exactly. And even looking at it from a slightly mercenary perspective, if you are both trying your best to improve yourselves, that you're going to be, exponentially further in life than you would be by yourself, or if both of you or one of you wasn't trying. So, the relationship should be inspiring you to be your best, and then you both benefit from it if you're both doing it, of course.
Precisely. It's what I want.
Hmm. Me too. You got it.
Okay, there are other methods. So now there are some other spells, such as candle spells. You might have seen some couples, some candles that look like couples, or red or rose pink candles. These are all great candles for love spells. And even the format, the mode of the candle, sometimes you can see the man proposing. This is also great for proposal spells. There are some girls, that they are with their boyfriend for years and years, sometimes almost a decade, and the boyfriend hasn't proposed it yet, and they really want some sort of spell. And I really like the spells in particular because I enjoy helping my clients moving to a better life. And that was one that I really love doing because I could feel that they were in love And I could feel that um, certainly they just need some sort of blessing in their life. And she did got married and they had a kid, and later on she shared me the photo of their kid, and she thanked me for the blessing spells. So I really like the spells, but also one should know that perhaps waiting too much for a relationship to move on to the next stage is not the best case scenario. You should definitely tell your partner what your true intentions are. And this is more a behavior part of the spell, because again, I often tell everybody that the spell is psychological, behavioral, and spiritual. So the behavioral part is you tell your partner what you envision for your life, regardless if they are there or not. So if you do want to get married, you say, me and my future husband and I, the future father of my kids. So what you're telling them is that this is your main goal in life. You're not catering your life to satisfy them, but you are telling them, you are informing them what you want, and you are giving them clarity. So for a woman, and that is why I think women misunderstand obsession with love, is because a man who is obsessed about a woman, they tend to be very clear about their intentions. And I even saw a psychopath talking about this. And he said that he can have any woman he wants because he gets obsessed with his target, and this creates some sort of allure for his case. So he talks about how is life being a psychopath. There is that on the internet now.
Hmm.
People have no shame. Everything is content. But anyways, the point is, some women really love an obsessed man because this man gives them clarity. And what you want from your partner, being a woman, if you like them, of course, it is clarity. And sometimes they cannot provide you that. And that's when you request this sort of spells. So the first love spell you want to make actually is for clarity, to understand what is going on. Sometimes the tarot cards can give you some sort of light and direction, but this spell actually takes the mask away. You know, if a psychopath is just a psychopath, you soon will understand what is going on if you if you light a candle with the intention of clarity. And then if you understand that there is love, but for some reason, some obstacles are greater than the love, and it happens, right? Some people, they live in different parts of the world, for instance. So it is harder to make that love happens. Definitely, this kind of love spells and working with entities that bless the couple they're gonna help, and one day the man will wake up and say, no, I want to be with her and I want marriage, etc., etc. But regardless if they want marriage or not, it is good to ask for what is truly in their hearts, so you don't get misaligned. And also tell your partner that you want someone who is aligned with your purpose. Because some men will test you. Some men, they will offer you tons of alcohol to see if you're gonna drink it or if you're gonna say no. Some men will offer to be intimate in the first night you never met. And they will try to push your boundaries. And you, as a woman, if you are aligned with your purpose and your higher self, you know exactly what it is, what you want, what you would do, and what you wouldn't do. How do men test women?
Honestly, I don't really know. I'm not a good person to ask for that.
You don't want to tell me your game.
Mhm. No,
You want to be mysterious.
I don't want to be mysterious. You should leave all these flirty bits in. It's actually funnier.
This one about the mysterious?
Yeah,
Okay, I might. Let's see.
let's see. Yeah,
No, no, no. I know. Every man tests the girl. Come on.
I think it's unconscious if we do that. I mean, of course, we're gonna sort, some women out of the picture, but yeah, I can't recall any way I've tested a woman.
But there are other methods as well. So let's talk about sex magic. Or is this too much?
What is the sex method?
Am I saying too much?
Probably.
Well, it's part of the show, I suppose. I'm just trying to, teach others.
Okay. What is it?
So, so there are some come to me spells. As I said, candle spells, special candles that you can light with intention. It is all about intention. And I often tell my clients and the members of my coven that you should always start a spell with a banishing and finish a spell with a banishing. Or, you light your incense, you start a circle or you ring a bell, whatever it is, the method doesn't matter, but it is important to be always protected. But as some come to me spells, they don't need necessarily candles. You can do that with sigils. So you write your intention and you charge the sigil. And one of the manifestation methods that many use, it is the O method. As the name implies, is when you touch yourself thinking about the other person and manifesting, visualizing yourself with that other person. And you can even say some sort of mantra to attract that other person to your life. Now, I'd like to remember you that this is one of the most powerful methods there is. It is sex magic, but also you need to be incredibly careful with this method so it doesn't cause an obsessive link unless you want this link to truly exist. Angel, you are hypnotism. How can one use hypnotism to seduce the other?
Yes, well, that's a good question. There was a medical hypnotist around, living around a century ago, a little more than that, called William Wesley Cook, and he said the first attribute of a hypnotist was physical appearance, that you can make an impression on someone with your physical appearance. And he listed a lot of other qualities as well, but such as willpower, self-awareness. So I think, all of these qualities that we can cultivate make an impression, whether that's good health and strong physical body for men and well dressed and or body posture, this kind of thing, all make an impression. But one of the things, or one of the most important things about working with someone in a hypnotic session is to pay attention to them and pay a lot of attention to them. And you might be looking for changes in their facial expression or their posture, or you're definitely paying attention to their language even before the hypnotic part of the session. So if, let's say, you want to you're doing hypnosis for confidence, and you're talking to them about, well, when did you feel confident? How do you want to feel? I mean, I've said it before, but someone might say, oh, I want to feel like a rock star. Someone else might say they want to feel like a queen. And, you have to use that specific language because it's just going to go into their mind a lot more. And it's not that I'm not telling people to lie or, there's this idea of mirroring body language as well, right? Where somebody folds their arms, so you fold their arms. I think it's not as literal as that, but you want to be completely conscious of who they are and how they're expressing themselves, not to mirror them and to mimic them per se, but to not be completely off base. So, for example, with body language, if somebody is super relaxed, it's not that you want to be in the identical position, but you don't want to be super uptight, right? Or if somebody wants to talk about rap music, you don't want to start talking about heavy metal. Just, you want to try and pick up on things that you both share, right? So I think that's more it. You don't want to be out of sync with them, and you can do that by, you know, not being wildly different in your body posture, not trying to impose your interests on them when they're not interested, that kind of thing. And that's going to make you much more attractive and seductive.
Definitely. What about something you can say in their ears?
Something you can say to them.
Their, yes.
Well, that's a good question. So, well, with hypnotism, of course, you would be looking to emphasize the positive, right? So, a lot of people use language that might be negative, but you want to stay away from that. Yeah, so you want to emphasize what's good about them and definitely not backhanded compliments like, wow, you look really good for a woman who's a little overweight. You don't want to say that kind of thing, right? Or, well, you look amazing for your age, right? You can just say you look amazing. So yeah, you want to stick to the positive and not kind of bring them back to their insecurity. It's like if, let's say, you're going out with an older guy, you don't have to say, wow, you look amazing for an older guy, right? You can just say, wow, you look amazing, because that's probably what they're insecure about. Or, if a woman is overweight, you don't want to say, wow, but it looks, the extra weight looks good on you, because even if you like it, they might not like it. So you just say, wow, you look great, or that dress looks really good on you, or whatever it is.
Okay, I think we covered almost everything.
Yes.
I poor Angel.
Hmm?
Poor, you must think this Brazilian girl.
Hmm.
You
I already thought that.
thought that.
Hmm.
You thought that. Oh, this.
Yeah,
She's gonna kill me with her pombashir.
that's right.
So, I hope you love this video. Otherwise, we're gonna have to put a spell on you. So, like and subscribe.
Thanks very much.